and girls, are you ready to do some science experiments? I am. I have my lab coat on and we're in the science lab. And I have some science things here. Let's see, what do we have? We have some little glass containers. In science language, we call them beakers. Really, they're just little jars from the dollar store. And we're gonna fill our beakers with water. We're gonna about half full. So let's see. Here's half. Half. They don't all have to be the same, just around the same. And this one. And you probably noticed each, or 3 of the jars, have food coloring bottles in front of them. So the first one, I'm going to put some drops of red food coloring. So this one is red. Now we're gonna leave this one just with regular clear water. And we're gonna put this yellowy one in here. It's not true yellow, but hopefully it will work. I'll stir that one. Oh, it looks pretty yellow. A little bit green, but. And this one we'll leave clear. And then we'll put blue in this one. There's not very much blue left. I'm gonna see if I can get some more out there. It's as much as we have, so we'll have to do. So we have red, then clear, yellow, then clear, and then blue. Okay, now we're going to take our beakers, our little bottles, and we're going to put them in a circle. So there should be one clear one beside each colorful one. And then we take a piece of paper towel, and I've cut the paper towel into strips. So just a little strip of paper towel. I'm going to fold it over. This experiment, by the way, is called the walking rainbow. So I'm going to take this piece of paper towel and I'm going to put it from the blue to the clear. And then I'm going to take another piece of paper towel and I'm going to put it from the clear to the yellow. And then the next one will go from the yellow to the red. Then one from the red. Oh no, whoops, I got mixed up. I made a little mistake. I needed one more container with clear water. So we fixed that. So now we have 6 bottles. Okay, so now I'm gonna go from the clear to the red, and then from the red to the clear, the next clear, and then one more piece of paper towel will go from this clear one to the blue one. Okay, now can you see what that looks like? Maybe from up top you can get a better look. And so we're gonna leave this and we'll come back to it after we do some more experiments and read a story and we'll see what's happening with it. But what's supposed to happen is that the colors are supposed to go from one jar to the next, and in the clear jars they're supposed to mix together. So if the blue and the yellow were to mix together, we should get green there. And if the yellow and the red were to mix together, this one should have orange. And then the blue and the red, if they mix together, do you know what color they'd make? It would be purple. So we're gonna leave it and we'll see if it works. Okay, boys and girls, now while our walking rainbow experiment is working, we're gonna try another experiment. This one is called elephant toothpaste. And maybe you've done it before at daycare or at school, or maybe you've never heard of it before. I've only ever seen pictures of it. I've never done it before. So we're gonna do it for the first time together. So some of the things you need, actually all the things, you shouldn't do any of these experiments without your mom and dad's help, because some of them, if you put them in your mouth, they could make you sick. So this one, you're gonna need some hydrogen peroxide, and that's something that mommy or daddy might put on a cut when you get a cut, and it helps it heal. And then we also need some dish soap. And we need some yeast if you have yeast in your house. And we also need some food coloring and water. I think that's all the things that we need. Okay, so the first thing we do is we have to mix in a little cup some yeast, 2 tablespoons of warm water. So I have some warm water here in this cup. So I'm going to take 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, and then with that you need to mix a little bit of yeast. It says 1 teaspoon of yeast. So the tablespoon is the big one, the teaspoon is the smaller one. So this is a teaspoon. And we're going to see, I have some more yeast, but we'll see if this is enough. Yeah, this will be just enough for our experiment. So if you want to look at the yeast, it's kind of neat. It looks like little tiny balls and they roll around, sort of like sand. So I'm going to put that in my warm water, and then we mix it up. And you need to let it get a little bit frothy or almost bubbly, not quite bubbly, but and that's how the yeast and the water react together. And yeast is what we put in bread to make it rise. So it's a chemical reaction that's happening now with the water and the yeast. So we're just going to set that to the side for a minute, and then I'm going to look at the next ingredients. I have the recipe on my phone. Now the next thing says, oh, and the other thing we need is a bottle. It says to put 1/2 a cup of 6% peroxide. So 6% peroxide is something that you have to buy at the hairdresser. And okay, so this is 3% peroxide, and we're actually supposed to use 6% peroxide, which is a little bit more strong. But I can't go to the hairdresser to buy that kind of peroxide, so this is just the peroxide we have in our medicine cabinet, and you might have some too. It's 3%, and we'll see, hopefully it'll work. And let's see, so now I think I'm going to use a smaller bottle, and it says to put it inside a little bowl because it might overflow. So in our bottle, it says to put 4 to 5 drops of food coloring. So I guess we'll use red because that's the one we have the most of. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of food coloring. Then it says to put in a squirt of dish soap. So here's our dish soap. We'll put 1 big squirt. There. Okay, and then we take the hydrogen peroxide, and it said to have, it says to put 1/2 a cup. So we measure it. You'd have to get your mom or dad to do this part. When you want to smell something, you go like this. You never put your nose right in it because the chemicals could burn your nose. So to smell the hydrogen peroxide, you do this like a little fan, and it smells sort of like if you're taking nail polish off your fingernails, or if the doctor puts a little bit of alcohol on your arm before they give you a needle, sort of that kind of smell. And now I'm going to pour that into the bottle. So in the bottle now is the hydrogen peroxide, the soap, and the food coloring. Now we use a funnel, which helps us to put things into bottles. And we put the yeast mixture. So there's our yeast. And we're going to pour that in. Now, what is going to happen? Do you see it rising? It's rising up the bottle. And it's going to, is it going to come out, do you think? Here it comes all the way up to the top of the bottle. Now here it comes out. And it's supposed to look like toothpaste. It's just pouring out. Can you see? Oh, it's just pouring. It's pouring into the bowl. Good thing we used the bowl. It's the same color. It would have been better if we had a different color. Maybe you could see it better, but it's just pouring right out of there. Almost like a volcano. Oh, that is pretty cool. It's still pouring. Can you see at the top? You can see it kind of coming right out. Oops. Oopsie doodles. Here it comes. It's still coming out. I better clean that up. So it's still going, boys and girls. We took a little break from filming, but if you see, you can see how full the bowl is now, and the toothpaste is still coming out of the bottle. It's like a waterfall. It just keeps going and going, and it's full. So I think it's gonna keep going for a long time. So maybe we'll set this one to the side with our rainbow experiment, and we'll come back after we do one more experiment and we'll see what's happening. Well, let's take a little break from our science experiments and see what's in the story bag today. Feels pretty light. I think there's only one story today because we did so many science experiments, and we're still gonna do more. Oh, it's called Bones. Bones by Stephen Krensky, illustrated by Davy Jones. Walk, jump, touch your toes. Bend your knees, hold your nose. Any way you move, your bones are helping out. You have 206 bones in your body. These bones fit together perfectly. Together they form your skeleton. Your bones are hidden under your skin, but you can feel them and their shape. Your bones start out small, just the way you do. As your bones grow, you grow too. The smallest bones are inside your ears. The biggest bones are in your legs. Some of your bones act as armor. A flat bone in the middle of your chest protects your heart. Your ribs are a bony cage for your lungs and other squishy parts. The bones of your face are parts of your skull. It covers your brain like a helmet. Long ago, pirates used a flag with a skull and a crossbones on it to frighten people. Today, a skull and crossbones means danger or poison when you see it, so be careful. Your bones do not bend, so they are joined in places where you need to bend. These places are called joints. Your spine, or your backbone, has many joints. It helps you to stand up straight or to do a somersault. Our bones work with our muscles to make our bodies move. Bones are hard and strong, but sometimes they break by accident. Luckily, the broken parts can grow back together. After many weeks, the bone is healed. Some old bones turn into fossils after millions of years. Fossils tell us a lot about animals that lived long ago, such as the dinosaurs. Many animals have bones like ours, but their skeletons match their shapes and their sizes. Toads and goldfish have much smaller bones than we do. Elephants and whales have much bigger bones than we do. Some animals have no bones at all. Jellyfish and worms wiggle and squiggle without them. If you had no bones, you would look like a blob. So when you run, or stretch, or grab, or chew, think of your bones and say, thank you. Well, that was a good story. It taught us all about our bones that are inside of our bodies. It was a good story to read on a day that we're talking about science experiments, because did you know that you are a science experiment? Not really an experiment, but there's things going on in you. They're changing, just like the experiments that we did. You're growing, your bones are growing, you're getting taller, and every time you eat your food, it changes in your body, and some of it makes you grow, and then some of it you get rid of. And those are all sort of like science experiments, things that are changing in you. You know, grown-ups don't grow anymore, but children are growing all the time. Well, that elephant toothpaste was really cool, but you might not have all the same ingredients that Miss Colleen had, so I thought we'd try another kind of a volcano experiment. And you probably do have these things at your house, and they're not poisonous if you put them in your mouth. They would taste yucky, but they wouldn't make you sick. So we have vinegar, baking soda, and that's what you use to make your cookies and cakes get puffy when you're cooking or baking, and a little bit of soap. And we have our funnel again, because that helps us to get liquids or solids into a bottle that has a small opening. So I've put this bottle, this is a new bottle that I found, and I've put it inside a cake pan because there might be things that are gonna pour out, and we don't want them to go all over the counter. We want them to stay in the cake pan. So the first thing we put in is we put about 2 tablespoons of baking soda. So let's put that in to the funnel, and it will drop down into our bottle. So there's 1 tablespoon. Let's put another big tablespoon in. You've probably done this experiment before. It's pretty fun and it's pretty easy. So we have, there's our baking soda. Now I'm just going to take that off for a minute because I'm going to put some food coloring in there too, so it looks the color of lava. Put some red in there, but you can use any color, and you don't have to use color. It doesn't affect the experiment. Just all right. Now we're going to put a little bit of soap, so it's going to make it kind of bubbly when it comes out. You don't need the soap either. Really, it's just the baking soda and the vinegar, but the other things make it a little more, look more like lava. All right, now I'm going to pour some vinegar into my measuring cup because that will help me to more easily pour it into the big bottle. Now we can do the same thing we did with the hydrogen peroxide. If you want to smell the vinegar, you go like this, and you can smell it. It smells like salt and vinegar chips if you've ever had those before. Now, you can probably hear Maggie. She's taking a big drink out of her water bowl. You can hear that in the background. Now I'm going to put my funnel on. So this is the exciting part. This is where the chemical reaction happens, because the baking soda and the vinegar is an acid and the baking soda is a base. And when they mix together, there's always a reaction. So let's see what's going to happen this time. I'm going to pour it in. Woohoo! Eruption. And it's different. It looks different than when we did the toothpaste, doesn't it? You see, it's a little thinner, more bubbly, but it's still erupting. It's still pouring out of the bottle. And it smells very vinegary. I think it's so bubbly because we put that soap in there. Well, it's looking pretty cool. Now it's so we did 3 experiments together. Now the first one we did, was the rainbow. The walking rainbow. So you can see it's starting to walk around. You can see that the yellow has gone onto, you can see it maybe this way better. The yellow is going into this container, and the red is coming up from this container and going over here, and the blue is starting to travel up. So I'll check in with this in a couple of days, and I'll put a picture for you on Instagram to see what it's looking like. And so why that's happening is it's called osmosis. So the liquid is traveling up and it's making the paper towel wet. And that's how it's going to travel. It's going to travel, since all the paper towel is wet now. So the water is traveling by osmosis right up through the dry paper towel and into the next container. Now the next one we did was elephant toothpaste. And so that is happening because the hydrogen peroxide that we put in there, that's kind of smelly chemical, it is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. And when the oxygen comes out of the hydrogen, and it does that because you put the yeast in there, it comes up and then the soap attaches to the oxygen and it makes big bubbles. It's like if you're blowing a bubble. So the oxygen that's coming out of the hydrogen peroxide is joining to those soap bubbles and making even bigger bubbles, and it finally stopped, but it went for a long time, those bubbles coming out. So that was another chemical reaction. And then this one, it's all done now, this our volcano, but we talked about why that happens, because baking soda is a base and vinegar is an acid, and when they mix together, they make a reaction, and the reaction this time made the vinegar come right out of the bottle, and we saw it was just like a volcano erupting. Well, that's everything for today, boys and girls. Do you remember what we did? We started off with our science experiment about the walking rainbow, where the colors are going into different cups. And then we talked about this one here. We did the It looks very different now, doesn't it? But this was the elephant toothpaste. It's starting to lose some of its foam. And then we did our experiment that was like a volcano. But first, before that, we read our story about our bones and how children's bodies are always changing, just like a science experiment. Well, I had fun today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you next time.